Welcome everybody to Let's Play Cave Story Plus, specifically the Nintendo Switch version. Cave Story is a game that, frankly, I think needs no introductions. Though, for those of you who are unaware, Cave Story was a game originally released back in December 20th of 2004 by a one-man development team. This was an indie game that, frankly, has seen critical acclaim since, and has had so many influences in the gaming world. I could sit here for hours talking about that, but let's get into the game. So, there's some things here that you may not see should you first start the game. You have story mode, Curly's story, challenges, game option, and the jukebox. Obviously, if you want to play the game, story mode is what we're after. After you've progressed a little bit, you'll find a character named Curly Brace. Once you do that, you can play her story, which is the same game, just playing as her. It is kind of neat. Otherwise, there are challenges all throughout the game that you can check here at any time. Namely, game options has what you'd expect, all the options for the game. We'll go over that in just a minute, because finally, we have the jukebox, which allows you to listen to any of the songs throughout the entire game, under any of the soundtracks that have been made and provided for the game. Now, admittedly, I'm not a huge fan of the Cave Story Plus version of many of these songs. It's what you're going to hear at default when you turn the game on, and while I don't think they're bad, I don't like them nearly as much as I like the original versions of all the songs. It's not that they are poorly composed or made, I just don't think they fit the original sound. So, generally, I would recommend using the remastered soundtrack. I think there's a lot here that sounds really great. There's some really wonderful additions, and frankly, the composure's amazing. If you're more a fan of chiptune or older sounding music, the Famitrax version is probably for you. It's pretty good. Now, if you're looking for something a little more intense, the Ridiculon version of the entire soundtrack gives you that rock feeling that you might be after. It's pretty good, and frankly, I would recommend listening to almost all the songs through each of these soundtracks, maybe barring the Cave Story Plus version. Finally, though, you have the Organia version, which is my preferred version. This sounds basically how the game should sound. I love this version of the soundtrack, and frankly, it's what we're going to be using. While I do like the remastered, like I said, I like this one because it's more or less the original. So, once you're done with all that, I would recommend coming into your options. Now, if you want a different soundtrack, you can come down to music and change it whenever you're at the main menu. Obviously, pick your favorite flavor and go from there. You also have two different graphic modes, Cave Story Plus, which adds a nice look to the game that, frankly, I think makes it look really good. If you're not a fan, you can also change it back to the classic graphics, where things are a lot more pixely and a bit rougher looking. Frankly, I think both flavors of graphics are really great. Otherwise, you have your sound and music volumes, and notably, Cave Story Plus has a two-player mode. So, if you want to play two-player, this is where you can set things up for that. Namely, if you share a health bar or not. If you want a real challenge, this is where you'd go to find that. Otherwise, you have player 1 and 2 jump/shoot configurations, flipped and normal. When you first start the game, it'll be set to normal, which has your firing button on Y and I believe A, respectively, if you're using a Nintendo Switch controller. If you're, say, on the PC version, or PlayStation version, or even the 3DS, your buttons are all going to be different. So, basically, your left and right buttons on the D-pad are going to be your jump button, and your bottom button is going to be shooting. Now, I like the flipped, where your shooting is on your left and right buttons, and your jumping is on the bottom button. I feel like that's a lot more natural, but mess around with it, see what you like. Otherwise, once you're done with that, you can head on in here, and we'll just get rid of the practice save, and we can start a new game. Now, there are 3 different difficulties. Easy, which is good for first-time players, and admittedly, Cave Story is a pretty difficult game. While it isn't the hardest out there, later challenges might seriously push you and detract from your enjoyment of the game. So if you're really struggling and you just want to play the game and enjoy yourself, play it on easy mode. Now, if you're like me, you probably are A-okay with the original. It has a good set of challenge and I think is pretty fair all throughout. Now, if you hate yourself, play the hard mode. In this mode, you won't get any health pickups, and frankly, this is extremely difficult. I am not a fan of hard mode in any way, shape, or form, but say you're an achievement hunter or want to complete certain challenges, you're probably going to have to go through this. Frankly, though, we're just going to play on the original difficulty. I don't want to sit here for hours and basically make a fool of myself because I keep playing the game poorly. So, original is for us. When you're ready, press the start button. And it'll ask you if you want to play single player or 2 players. Frankly, I'm doing this solo. Because, well, no one I know really cares to play this game, and frankly, I don't think it would be all that fun with 2 people. This game kind of heavily relies on the fact that you can control the camera completely throughout it. Not having that, I imagine, would lead to a lot of grief. Now, like I said, if you want a challenge, feel free. Or if you're just, sitting around with someone, go for it. But we're going to be playing in single player. Someone's transmission. Connecting to network. Logged on. Starting IM chat. Sue? Are you there? It's me. It's Kazuma. I was somehow able to escape, but I got lost. I'm in a shelter without anything inside. If you're reading this, please answer. Please? Resting. And so, here's the beginning. You start in this weird room. Over here, you have a save point. And of course we want to save. You also have a life and ammo refill, which is pretty nice. Now, interestingly, if you press up, you look up. That's not actually how you interact with things, nor is it a button. You press down, which is kind of weird. Now, as you can see, there's some enemies. We don't have a way to fight them, so the most we can do is go get damaged and not have a very good time. Cave Story is kind of nice in the beginning in the fact that it makes you go one way, so you really can't progress the game without getting the starting weapon. Now, if you see these spikes, they'll do a lot of damage, and were we to touch them, we would die instantly. So, don't touch them. Otherwise, up here, we have the first life capsule. If you're playing in hard mode, you will not receive these. This increases your max life by 3. I want to say most life capsules throughout the game increase your maximum health by 3, but not all of them do. Now, if you notice, here's some water. While in water, you have an air meter. When that reaches 0, it's game over. So be very careful. Now, notably, when in water, you get very heavily slowed. You're not exactly adept at being in the water. Still, when outside, you can jump a fair distance. Just keep it in mind and you should be fine. Otherwise, at the end of this gauntlet, we find the Hermit Gunsmith. Yeah, he seems to be clocked out, but there's a shiny little treasure. Let's help ourselves. We opened the treasure chest and obtained the Polar Star, the first of many weapons. Someone's transmission. Searching for Sue. One Sue found. Sue! Answer me. They're looking for you. Are you asleep or what? Your brother's so lonely. Interesting. So, once you've found the polar star, you can now fire it by pressing either A or Y, or the side buttons if you're playing with the flipped control scheme. If you're not, then this will be your bottom button. So, as you can see, enemies take damage and sometimes will drop these little glowing bits. When you pick those up, your level meter in the top left will increase. Once you level your weapon up, it will become a little more powerful, usually. Every weapon's a little different in how it works. We'll go over that as we get each different weapon. Enemies can also drop health, which is very nice. And the other big thing to keep in mind is that when you get damaged, the level meter will drop on each weapon. So be careful. This game has a very fine balance of playing well and being rewarded for that. Should you play poorly, you're going to have a tough time because your weapons won't be very powerful. Now, from beating all the first enemies, we've leveled up our polar star, and now it shoots 2 beams, which do more damage. Now, if you notice, this door here is a sneaky enemy. Be careful. That trips up a lot of players and they lose their level 2 polar star right away. Come on, Sue. Type something, will you? Starving over here. I'm so hungry that I even ate a cockroach. Lol, just kidding. But just so you know, if I get to that point, I'll do it. The Mimiga Village. Give me that key.
No way!
Are you trying to protect that Sue girl? She's an outsider.
Sue is a good person. I won't betray Sue.
Toroko, the next time that the doctor shows up, someone else will be taken away. If Sue isn't turned in, you could be in danger.
But...
Just hand over the key.
Huh? Well, seems we've, interrupted something. You, good there, pal?
What? You're not an enemy. I thought you were one of them. My name is King. I'm the number 1 in this village. Though I say number 1, it doesn't really mean much. There are only 6 of us left in the village. Well, really, including Sue, it's 7, but she's not one of us. She's just an outsider that came into our village.
Interesting. We've heard about this Sue person, at least we've seen it, or seen her, based on those transmissions. Up, Yamashita Farm. Left, Reservoir. Right, Cemetery. And down, Arthur's house. Well, that's convenient. Still, whenever you see the nice little floppy disk, you know you can save your game. I would recommend saving. We don't need a health refill, so we'll continue on our merry way. And let's take a look around the village. Assembly Hall. There's, not much going on in here. Flames billow in the fireplace. There's something on the other side. Interesting. Well, we'll keep that in mind for later. And, hey there.
The name's Jack. I'm the number 2 in the village. Beyond here is Mimiga Cemetery. There our hero, Arthur, rests eternally in peace. What am I doing here? Mushrooms have taken over Mimiga's cemetery, so I'm keeping watch to make certain that they don't come into the village.
Alright, fair enough. Someone's got to do it. Now, something I haven't really talked about is that this game is admittedly pretty floaty. You have a pretty good amount of control, but while moving and doing things, you might feel like things are a little more, floaty than in games that you've come to know and love, like, say, Hollow Knight or Super Metroid or any other game that's, you know, a 2D side-scroller like this with an emphasis on shooting and jumping. It takes a little adjustment, but you should be fine after some time. The Yamashita Farm. Well, let's give it a look. Huh, cute. Hey there.
This is the farm where we grow flowers. My job is to protect this farm. To us Mimiga, these flowers are a precious source of food. but not the red flowers. I heard that if we eat red flowers, our blood pressure skyrockets and we'll die in an instant. Fortunately, on this farm, we don't grow those vile red flowers.
Eesh, sounds kind of rough. But by coming up here, we can find our second life capsule. Very nice. I will say, early on, you want as much life as you can get because frankly, you're probably not that well adjusted to the game yet, and you're going to be taking some pretty big hits. So any extra life we can get is definitely useful. Otherwise, the reservoir, they said, yeah? Head on in. Huh. Hey there.
Sue? That cute girl who was always hiding inside Arthur's house, she recently came to Mimiga Village. She fell into the reservoir there. I don't think she's very fond of us. It seems like she hates everyone in the village, but she's a Mimiga. Same as the rest of us.
How strange. Now, if you're after some achievements, and this is just one of the few I know off the top of my head, don't kill the little fish down there when you jump in and grab this item. Something shines brightly. Obtained the silver locket. You'll need this for a little bit later, so may as well grab it now. Otherwise, don't worry too much. You should have plenty of air. Oh, hi.
Wah!
Well, bye.
Hand over that key.
No.
Yeesh. You good there, pal?
Totoko, don't underestimate me.
Well, you, kind of got pushed around by her, so maybe you're the one underestimating her, huh? And down here is Arthur's house. It's locked. So, good luck getting in there. Otherwise, how's it going there?
Geez, you scared me. Sue? Oh, you mean the girl staying at Arthur's house, right? She lives together with Toroko. That girl's a real cutie. She must be looking for flying dragons. Wonder if there really is such a thing. Dragons that fly in the sky.
Interesting. Well, it certainly sounds like something we might find later. Otherwise, let's drop down here for a sec. Now, some of these jumps are a little tricky, but shouldn't be too bad. And up here, you receive the map system, something that is really useful. Something's written. So, as long as you always maintain a sense of exploration, you will someday find the way out. This is my hope. And they'd be right. So, here you have the map. It's very useful, and frankly, it's a welcome addition. I don't remember if the original ever had something like that, but this version does, so I'm gonna be sure to use it. The shack, huh?
You jerk.
Right. Sorry about that.
Wah! Oh, help me, help me. Huh? You're not the doctor? Oh, sorry about that. The doctor's such a cruel and evil person. He shows up in the village and kidnaps Mimiga, at times even killing someone. Doctor, he killed my older brother. Ah, that pendant. You picked it up for me? Sue gave it to me. But I don't want it anymore. King gets bent out of shape when Sue and I get along. Please keep it.
Huh?
Oh yeah, I found you. It's no use hiding from me. I've got the nose of a clever harrier.
Indeed. Yes, he has the nose and the brain of a dog.
Misery, I found her first.
You two, you're with the doctor. You must be Sue. The great doctor has summoned you. Come along with me. Huh? But I'm not Sue. Wah! Balrog, the rest is up to you. I'm the wrong person. I told you.
Not this again. I always have to clean up. And I'm the one who found her, not Misery. So, What's up? You want to fight me with that little pea shooter?
Not really, no.
Huh? All right, then I'm gonna go back home.
All right. Now, notably, you are intended to fight Balrog there. But if you say no, he'll just leave. So at this point, let's quit the game and show off the Balrog fight. I think it's really funny that you can just skip him, but, you know, unfortunately, I will have to do a couple other little things because we didn't grab the map or anything like that beforehand, but it's all right. The nice thing about Cave Story is that, admittedly, it's a fairly short game. So, while some of the difficulty may make it a little longer, the actual game, should you be able to perform adequately, isn't all that long. It's a really fun experience, too. Now let's just make sure we got all the other things. Ooh, hello, Mr. Chucklefish. I think that's what he's called. I think his name is Chucklefish. Goodbye, Mr. Fish. We don't need to kill you. Have a good one. And luckily, if you've already seen text, or even the first time you've seen it, you can totally just mash through it. It's super nice. So, if you're looking to play the game kind of quickly, say maybe a speed run, it's pretty friendly for that. I don't know if I'd recommend it to a first timer, but you know. Now, interestingly, if you die to her, I believe it's another achievement, which is really funny. I don't plan on doing that, because we've already had to see this a couple times, but it is something that I think is funny and worth noting. Like I said, I'm not going to show off every single achievement you can get, but some of the ones I do know off the top of my head, I will mention at least. Alright, Balrog. Let's fight. We sure do want to fight you.
Understood.
So, here's our first fight in the game against Balrog. He's a fairly simple boss. And frankly, you probably won't have much trouble if you have the level 2 Polar Star.
I'll remember this.
Defeated Balrog. Very nice. And for beating him, you get some little EXP shards. I don't actually know what they're officially called, but it's a nice little bonus. Otherwise, I think that'll be it for today. Welcome to Cave Story. It's going to be a fun little journey, even if at times it might be a little hard and frustrating. I love this little game. So, join me next time when we continue to explore Mimiga Village and figure out just what happened to Toroko. Till then, as always, I've been Brad. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.